Illinois playing host to Texas Democrats who are evading being in the state of Texas so they could vote for or against a redistricting to have Republicans gain more seats in Congress. It's Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm Greg Bishop, and you can catch this program each and every weekday morning. Again, just like and subscribe here with the Center Square on YouTube, and we can connect that way. All right, so we've got this issue of redistricting. Now, just quick background. Obviously, every election, you're in a jurisdiction for not just your municipality when you have local elections, not just your school district when you have school district elections, but also statewide elections. You got a state representative, and that district's drawn a particular way. You also have state Senate seats, but you also have members of Congress in the U.S. House of Representatives, and those maps are drawn every 10 years based off census data. Now, Illinois used to have, 22, 23 congressional seats, and then it went down to 19, and then now it's it's 17, I believe, and most of those seats are for Democrats, and the most recent map was drawn by Democrats. Republicans opposed it. They even sued over it, and civic organizations gave it an F grade for gerrymandering, because you can see some of the very interesting lines that are drawn in those maps. But ultimately, it gives Democrats the advantage in Illinois. Democrats will say that it's drawn to ensure there's sensitivity to different cultures in different places, and then they have representation that they should be able to have in minority groups and minority populations and such. So interesting conversations, but now we've got Texas looking to do a mid-year change, and you can go to the Center Square and see some of the headlines there, including what will redistricting mean in 2026. All right, so a redistricting showdown in Texas and California. House Republicans and Democrats scrambling to secure the party's majority heading into the second half of the Trump administration. So we could see some changes to congressional maps out of all of this. We're going to talk with State Representative Regan Deering about Governor J.B. Pritzker hosting Democrats fleeing Texas to evade having to vote for a redistricting map. And you have Gene Wu, who arrived in Chicago last night to stand with Governor J.B. Pritzker, and they went live in front of the podium close to 9 o'clock last night, and they said that they're fighting what they believe is a overreach by Texas Republicans.
We're not here to play political games. We're here to demand an end to this corrupt process. We ask them to stop hiding things from the public. We ask them to stop doing things behind closed doors. We ask them to stop attacking Texas communities. They refused because their loyalty and fealty to Donald Trump overrides all other interests. We have been a part of this corruption for too long. We have seen it too many times, where Republican leaders promise.
And that's Gene Wu, the Democrat caucus chair for the state of Texas. Governor Pritzker welcoming them last night at a campaign event, not an official Illinois event. This is all a campaign event, and Pritzker was using some pretty fiery language.
This is a righteous act of courage, and we can all take a page from these leaders' playbook. When you show people that you have the will to fight, well, they can muster the will to fight too.
That's right.
Yeah. Courage is contagious. I am very proud that Illinois Democrats have been in this fight from day one of Donald Trump's presidency. In the coming days and weeks, Illinois will partner with the Texas House Democratic Caucus to put a spotlight on the danger that Trump and Texas Republicans pose to all Americans. To be in public office right now is to constantly ask yourself, how do I make sure that we're standing on the right side of history?
Now, the governor, again, signed a map that Republicans say was gerrymandered. And again, you also have civic organizations essentially expressing the same perspective, that indeed you've got a serious problem with the map in Illinois. And a lot of people pointing to the ratios of Democrats versus Republicans and how different it is when you look at the outcome from the Trump administration to, in 2016 getting elected with like 41% of the vote in Illinois, and then in 2020 getting about 42% of the vote in Illinois, and then in 2024 getting 45% of the vote in Illinois. That doesn't translate to the number of members of Congress for the Republican Party from Illinois. We've got, 3 members of Congress that are Republicans and 14 that are Democrats. That ratio doesn't match up. You would want to, I guess, imagine having that ratio match up, but doesn't in this case. So something to keep thinking about in this conversation is, what is a fair map? And Pritzker went on to use some more fiery rhetoric, discussing what he says is the cult leaders of the Trump and MAGA movement getting the Republicans in Texas to do their will.
Remember, all bets are off when the cult leader and would-be dictator of the United States tells Texas to midstream change the game when they know that they're going to lose in 2026. All bets are off. Everything's got to be on the table. And that, So,
but how is it cheating in one sense and not cheating in another?
The cheating here is the fact that we are midstream in 2025, and they want to rewrite the map, and for only one reason. The cult leader of their party tells them to do it because he knows he's going to lose control of the House of Representatives.
So we got this idea of, how the maps are drawn being something that is very much going to lead to one party getting more control. And Pritzker responding to the question, well, how is it cheating in Texas, but it's not in Illinois? Pritzker didn't really answer that question other than to say they're trying to do it midstream. But you even had more pointed criticism coming from Senate Minority Leader John Curran in the state legislature here in Illinois, essentially saying that Pritzker's being a hypocrite.
We believe that the people of Texas deserve to have fair representation and not to have the game changed in the middle of the decade. That's right. There already is litigation about the original map that they put in place. Now they want to change it again. That no doubt will end up being litigated too. But let me be clear that they are attempting to cheat. And, I think we all know Donald Trump is a cheater. Yeah. So is the Attorney General of Texas, Ken Paxton, in so many ways. And we here in Illinois believe that we're, 2025. We've had elections now for, the 5 years that this map has been in place. We want to continue to have those fair elections, and we're proud of the fact that Democrats do better than Republicans in those districts where they're hyper-competitive, frankly, and we won in virtually every one of those districts that was competitive.
But when you look at a map that's 14-3...
yeah, but you're talking about the outcome, Paris. You're talking about the outcome. Look, the fact that we are very good in Illinois about delivering for the people of Illinois and the people react to that and vote for our candidates is very different than cheating mid-decade by rewriting the rules because their cult leader, Donald Trump, tells them to do it.
Again, that's Governor J.B. Pritzker last night welcoming Democrats from Texas evading the state legislature down there in the Lone Star State to go to not just Illinois, I believe they're going to New York and other states over redistricting, and Texas looking to possibly give Republicans favor in that state when it comes to the 2026 election. Totally doable. States have the ability to change their maps even in a midterm cycle, even in the middle of a 10-year cycle. So what's going on here? Is this just politics getting ramped up? To get into more of this, we're going to talk with State Representative Regan Deering, a Republican from Decatur. She joins us now here with Illinois in Focus to give her reaction to what the governor did last night. Representative, thanks for taking time with us this morning.
Good morning, Greg. Glad to be with you.
So what do you think? What's Governor Pritzker's take on the fair maps down in Texas or the fair maps in Illinois? Did you hear what he had to say last night?
Well, I certainly was surprised to be tuning in late into the night after having put my family to bed and getting ready for what will be a full week ahead for us here in Illinois, to find Governor Pritzker up in DuPage County surrounded by a handful of Democratic politicians crying foul over a gerrymandered map. So many of us here in Illinois have faced the full effects of a very partisan drawn map, and so it's just complete hypocrisy when our governor is standing there at the podium and having just drawn very unfair maps 4 years ago here in Illinois. Unbelievable.
Do we just essentially say, what's good over there is not good over here? I don't understand, I guess, how the governor can respond to the criticism that Republicans are pointing out here. Is it just pure politics at this point?
Yes, I think he's thinks he's above the fray. He's grandstanding. He's clearly got political ambitions on his mind. We have real problems right here at home in Illinois, and we're tired of our governor picking fights with not only the presidential administration, but strong governors across the country just for his political gain. We here in Illinois are hearing every day about people leaving the state, people frustrated with policies, with outcomes from Pritzker and his very damaging policies. I'm on tour this week, hitting small businesses in the 88th House District, and obviously top of mind is energy costs. So, I think we do have real problems right here at home, and it's just one more sort of case of people rolling their eyes at the governor.
Again, we're talking with Republican State Representative Regan Deering here live with Illinois in Focus Daily. Just hours after Governor J.B. Pritzker welcomed Texas Democrats from the Texas legislature to Illinois as a way to find refuge and sanctuary, I guess. Do you have concerns as to what this could ultimately mean down the road? I mean, some of the stuff the governor had to say was, when people fight, others see them and then they want to fight, using this kind of, some would point to and say heated rhetoric. Are you worried that this is going to get to a boiling point at some point?
Absolutely. I mean, the governor has done this earlier this year when he was out campaigning in New Hampshire, talking about Republicans cannot rest and that we need to fight, fight, fight. It's dangerous. And, we have seen the outfall of people in elected office like myself that have been victims of violence as a result of this political rhetoric. So, I think that Pritzker needs to focus here at home. None of us forget that just 4 years ago, he signed a very partisan map despite a campaign promise for fair maps. The Republicans here in Illinois have tried to launch a judicial effort to redraw those maps. I know that just in a few weeks, there is a bipartisan effort to talk about fair maps between Mr. Daley, Mr. LaHood, people who have been down this path before and realize how damaging unbalanced representation can be in any state. So I worry that the governor is just picking political points. He is firing up his base, and it's very dangerous.
Representative, obviously we're heading into 2026, and you've got the ratio of Republicans versus Democrats, obviously out of balance when it comes to the congressional seats. You're in the state house. How are Republicans going to be able to provide that check, at least to take away some of that supermajority that the Democrats have, if even the state legislative maps are drawn the way they are?
Yeah, we are stuck with these maps until 2030, which is potentially the next draw, although we are continuing to beat the drum on the partisan maps and the fact that our governor did campaign against that and sign them. I mean, I remember in 2021, we had judicial challenge just out of East St. Louis. The NAACP down there was one of the plaintiffs trying to challenge that map because it was racially gerrymandered. So, we are stuck with what we have here. Republicans represent, all 102 counties in the state of Illinois. So we're going to continue to show up and give voters, options on the ballot. I think the Democrats and the Pritzker administration are giving us more than enough ammunition to go out and just talk to people about how they are struggling. Under Pritzker, everything is going up: gas, groceries, insurance, homeowners charges, energy bills. And so we really are trying to get the point across that we can do better and we need to focus on the issues right here at home.
Republican State Representative Regan Deering, greatly appreciate you joining me this Monday morning on very short notice as, again, the governor hosted the Democrats down in Texas to Illinois to get away from having to vote for that map in Texas. What does that say to, the Texas officials, the Republicans, saying that they're going to go out and try to round up these Texas Democrats to bring them back to Texas? Should they do that, or should they refrain from doing that?
I think Governor Abbott has made it very clear that the games are over. These legislators are avoiding their duties. I just, again, think about the hypocrisy of, our governor welcoming people that are requiring sanctuary from Texas. You can't have it both ways. I think that, those people that are legislating in Texas need to get back and take care of their business in Texas and let us do Illinois' work here in Illinois.
All right. State Representative Regan Deering, greatly appreciate you sounding off this morning. We'll definitely talk again in the near future. All right.
Have a great week, Greg.
You too. It is Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm Greg Bishop. 124 bills signed by Governor J.B. Pritzker in one day, and we'll review some of those here. Good morning. It's Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm Greg Bishop. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and wake up with us each and every weekday morning for Illinois in Focus Daily. And get the headlines in your inbox at thecentersquare.com, where if you woke up Saturday morning, this was probably in your inbox with Pritzker signing 124 bills Friday, impacting Chicago pensions, artificial intelligence, school buses, bicycles, and more. And this obviously is something that we anticipate this time of year, as you've got the governor having to sort through 450 plus bills that the legislature sent him during spring session. There's still 100 plus more bills on the governor's desk, 203. There's a lot of legislation the governor still has to deal with throughout the summer. Will he veto any of them? Because you've got veto session coming up, and will they have anything to tackle when it comes to addressing vetoes or line item vetoes? Doesn't look like that's going to be the case, so maybe veto session could be focused on, say, the mass transit fiscal cliff. That's going to be an ongoing storyline for us this summer as well. But the legislation that the governor signed Friday is 124 pieces of legislation, one of them dealing with Chicago pensions. House Bill 3657, it makes changes to Tier 2 Chicago police and fire pensions for their pension benefits. Brandon Johnson was asked about this before the governor signed it, and this is what he had to say. He said this thing's not ready yet, and he says that the city needs, quote, progressive revenue.
It's no secret that the liability, particularly the debt liability that the city has and that we're facing, has a lot to do with our pension debt, as well as, of course, police settlement. I've spoken to the legislature about my concerns about this particular bill, and I still have those concerns. Our finance team has evaluated the ramifications of such a law, and I am still very much concerned about the expectation and the demand of taxpayers to be able to pay these pensions, particularly without any progressive revenue attached to it. Here's what should or still could happen, is that in our effort to secure retirement for our public employees, which is critical and constitutional, absent progressive revenue, it's impossible to sustain that expectation. And so this, I guess the best way to put it, this is incomplete.
So do I hear you saying that the governor should veto this unless he identifies progressive revenue?
I'm saying that without progressive revenue, there's not a pathway that allows for us to be able to maintain these obligations.
So the mayor saying that he needs progressive revenue, he's been hitting that drum quite a bit, dealing with so-called progressive revenue. It's the governor not necessarily taking the word of Johnson, and instead signing the bill on Friday. The city's got $1 billion budget deficit they're heading into. Their pension debt is $36 billion unfunded, and this could add $11 billion over time on what the taxpayers in Chicago are going to have to pay for with the enhanced benefits for Tier 2 Chicago fire and first responders. So that measure is now law, effective immediately. A couple of other things that we can go through here, and you can go and look at the list yourself by going to the story. Pritzker signs 124 bills, and if you scroll down, you'll be able to see the entire list on the governor's website, breaking down each one of them, just quick little blips about what it is and the bill number, and you can go and look it up and read the legislation yourself and when it's effective. So you can comb through that yourself. But I did some of that for you. So what we're going to do is just kind of go through some of these. One of them, Senate Bill 1441, 1441. It amends the Secure Choice Savings Program. If you're not familiar with that, the Secure Choice Savings Program is a program that was set up a couple of years ago to essentially say that all employees need to have access to some kind of savings account. And what the measure did was it said, employers, you have to enroll employees into a savings account. You don't have to match what the employer, or rather what the employee puts in, but you're going to start the employee off with, I think it was like 5% of their pay is going to go into a retirement fund, something like a 401k. And they can take it with them and transfer it to different employers if they wanted to. But what Senate Bill 1441 does is it amends the Secure Choice Savings Program and requires participant employees to automatically enroll employers to enroll employees into the Secure Choice Savings Plan with penalties that could be leveled. Another measure that's going to impact employers is requiring group and individual health insurance policies to provide coverage for therapeutic horse riding. Therapeutic horse riding should now be covered by individual health insurance and group insurance policies. And that's going to start January 1st, 2026, requiring coverage for therapeutic horse riding. Schools starting immediately. Well, actually, it's July 31st when this actually kicks in, but requires newly purchased school buses to be equipped with lap and shoulder belts starting July of 2031. Here is a little bit of the debate on the House floor when this passed during spring session just a handful of months ago.
Senate Bill 191 is really a bill about the improving of the safety of our children that are riding school buses every day back and forth from our homes to school. Ultimately, this is very, very simple and straightforward, that starting in 2031, all new school buses will be required to have a 3-point seatbelt. This might sound interesting. It's really not that notable in the sense that school buses are already pretty safe, and all new manufactured school buses already are really focusing on having these 3-point seatbelts. It's going to keep our children safer.
We have a note that the Illinois School Transportation Association estimates the additional charge for the seatbelts on a full-size bus ranges from $7,000 to $18,000. Are you aware of that estimate?
No, I'm not. And again, I think that the point there is a cost to having seatbelts in the bus. This is really consistent with what all school bus manufacturers, especially the larger school bus manufacturers, are doing already. And with the 6-year phase-in, there's no known cost because this really is consistent with what they're already doing.
So it's going to take 6 years to phase this in, but starting in 2031, school buses will have to have seatbelts. You've got more legislation here involving veterans. The SNAP program, Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, is going to be available to veterans and active military members if they need it, if they qualify for it. You've got Senate Bill 2175 that allows for state of Illinois employees who are veterans to receive up to 4 days of leave on top of standard sick leave to attend military service-related medical appointments at any type of healthcare provider. And you also had another one, I believe, that passed as well, and that would have allowed for military veterans who are part of like honors guards and color guards, and being able to go to military funerals and to perform the honors there. They can get time off, paid time off, I believe, to be able to do that. So several things involving veterans. Hunting, you've got a couple of interesting things here. House Bill 2340 requires the Illinois Department of Natural Resources to issue a landowner deer permit to any property owner with at least 20 acres of property in an area with confirmed cases of chronic wasting disease. So handing out some more hunting permits there for certain things. And again, House Bill 2339 impacting hunting amends the wildlife code and requires DNR to end the use of its sharpshooting program 3 years after the last confirmed use of CWD. Within an area they are monitoring, the program may be restricted if CWD is again identified within that county. Impacting driver's licenses, and again, we're just going through a small portion of the 124 bills that Governor Pritzker announced were signed on Friday. But concerning driver's licenses, the requirement the Secretary of State has to put your blood type or to have a section there where you can put your blood type on there, that apparently doesn't have to be on there anymore. So it removes that requirement. We'll see what little space they have there and what they fill that with. But that takes effect January 1st. Speaking of the Secretary of State, he obviously has the mantle of being the state librarian, and he hands out grants to public libraries. Well, now they can use public library grants to enhance security. So that can help with a variety of different types of things. House Bill 1910 requires all libraries in Illinois to maintain a supply of opioid antagonists and take steps necessary to have at least one person trained in that. And that's obviously a couple of things there to fortify libraries with security and to also get them ready if they need to deal with any kind of drug overdose that's opioid related. We talked about this one. House Bill 1806, effective immediately, prohibits the use of artificial intelligence for independent therapeutic decisions. You can't use AI for therapy to make those therapeutic decisions. AI can be used for a variety of things to help with administration, of scheduling, of some of the mundane office tasks. But you can't, as a therapist, take AI and say, "Hey, go and take care of Greg Bishop. He's got questions. You can help out." So that's not going to happen. I talked with Neil Perica. He is with a company that does artificial intelligence therapy, and he talked about how this measure, which is now in effect, and the conversation I had with Neil was before the measure was signed, obviously, but he says it's going to impact people in Illinois.
This is going to be a real problem for the people in Illinois. I mean, we're talking about a measure that's basically going to stop a lot of people from getting access to quality, affordable care that really doesn't have measures in it to try to figure out how should we design safe systems, guardrail systems, or, mechanisms to actually help people. And so, I think this is definitely one of the more restrictive pieces of legislation that we've seen, and it's basically going to stop people in Illinois from having access to a lot of the latest technology.
So clearly that's not going to be allowed anymore, and it could come with a $10,000 fine if federal regulators investigate and find out that indeed somebody or company is violating this. By the way, I saw on Grok, when they just uploaded it and updated it, there's a therapy button on Grok, which is X's artificial intelligence. Maybe they didn't get the memo. I'm not sure. We'll see how that plays out. But clearly, a lot more legislation to go. If you go to ilga.gov, let's go ahead and do this really quick, because they did update the website, by the way. ilga.gov. It's flashier. Look, it looks more modern. It's Web 2.0. 15 years behind. You've got the ability to go to reports and inquiries. Let's go to legislative reports. I think this is where it's going to be again, new website. So I gotta kind of relearn this all myself. So sent to governor. Let's go to that one. Sent to governor. No, don't want to do that one. That's date specific. How about this? Pending governor action. That's the one I want right here, right? Pending governor action. We click that. Live to tape, ladies and gentlemen. So we've still got a lot of legislation on the governor's desk. We're going to scroll all the way down, look at the grand total. He's still got 313 bills on his desk. And that is if they haven't already cross-referenced all of these that are on the governor's desk with what he signed on Friday. Again, that's 124 bills he signed Friday. He's got 300 plus on his desk. That means we've got plenty more for us to talk about. That's going to go into effect in the state of Illinois and how you're going to be impacted.
Again, let me repeat. Donald Trump is a cheater. So is Governor Greg Abbott. And Texas Republicans are carrying out their will.
Look, a lot of these states, I watched this morning as Democrats are complaining, and they're complaining from states where they've done it, like in Illinois.
And that's Governor J.B. Pritzker, followed by President Donald Trump, talking about redistricting. And the president seeming to be very aware of the redistricting and gerrymandering in Illinois. It's Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm Greg Bishop. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Wake up with us each and every weekday morning. We've been talking about this now all week, and that is the issue of Texas Democrats fleeing the state of Texas to not vote on legislative redistricting maps that Texas is looking to possibly give Republicans in Congress.
Let me tell you something, though. You heard it from the governor.
Hold on a second. Get to that in a moment. The Texas Republicans are wanting to give Republicans in Congress a few more seats, possibly up to 5 seats. If you go to the centersquare.com and the Texas page, you will see the headlines that Texas House convenes on Tuesday. Again, no quorum, only 94 members present in that Texas legislature. And the Solicitor General filing requests with the Texas Supreme Court as the Attorney General there is vacationing in Europe. Interesting headline there. But Abbott, the governor, he files an emergency petition to remove one of the Texas legislative leaders from office, and what that's going to look like. So you've got some of those headlines there you can pick up at the centersquare.com on the Texas page. But of course, with the Texas Democrats coming to Illinois, you've got Governor J.B. Pritzker again for a second day in 3 days, because they had a Sunday evening news conference with Texas Democrats arriving in Illinois. And then yesterday, early in the morning, they had yet another news conference where they had Ken Martin, the DNC chair, talk about the situation and blasting what he says was Republicans abusing their power in Texas.
Let me tell you something, though. You heard it from the governor. Democrats are fighting back. We're not rolling over. And I've been saying to these Texas Republicans, if you want a showdown, well, you're going to get a showdown. And here it is right now here in Illinois. Unlike Texas Republicans who held just one hearing on flood response, but 8 hearings on rigging maps, Texas Democrats are doing their damn jobs. They're standing up for the Constitution. They're standing up for the democracy. They're standing up for the voices of their constituents. There is nothing more American than calling out corruption, blasting bullies who seek to harm others, and defending democracy and the will of the voters. We are here on the eve of the 60th anniversary of the Voting Rights Act to once again stand up for fairness and justice. Because just as the icons of the civil rights movement marched, protested, and got into good trouble, just as Dr. King and Fannie Lou Hamer and John Lewis fought to ensure that Americans could access the ballot regardless of the color of their skin, so too are these courageous Texas House Democrats standing up and fighting back against a racial gerrymandering scheme to disenfranchise Black and Latino voters, all to desperately hold on to Congress in the midterms.
Again, this is Ken Martin, a DNC chair.
Governor
and he's there to ultimately stand
Illinois,
with the Democrats.
JB.
Sorry, that's J.B. Pritzker on Colbert last night. We'll take a look at some of that. So the governor, speaking of, was there as well with the Texas Democrats, again, on Tuesday morning after Sunday evening, holding a news conference. So yesterday, the governor took aim at Trump and Republicans.
To be in public office right now is to constantly ask yourself, how do I make sure that we're standing on the right side of history? Well, there's a simple answer. The wrong side of history will always tell you to be afraid. And the right side of history will always expect you to be courageous. Texas House Democrats are leading the way in choosing courage and country over politics and party. That's what it means to fight for what's right. And I love this country too. And I love it so much that I'm going to fight for it too, right alongside my heroes, the Texas House Democrats.
Yes. So the heroes to Governor J.B. Pritzker in Illinois are the Texas House Democrats, and he says he's going to stand and fight with them. And obviously, you've got the issue of gerrymandering in the state of Illinois that I think many commentators across the country, even on liberal cable news networks, are recognizing that Illinois indeed is one of the worst gerrymandered states in the nation. Here is Pritzker saying that Trump is a cheater.
Again, let me repeat, Donald Trump is a cheater. So is Governor Greg Abbott.
That's right.
And Texas Republicans are carrying out their will. And if they're going to cheat, then all of us have to take a hard look at what the effect of that cheating is on democracy. And that means we've all got to stand up and do the right thing. So as far as I'm concerned, everything is on the table.
Now, what does that mean? Everything's on the table. Is it Illinois coming back to redistrict after Texas redistricts? What would that look like? I mean, Illinois is already deeply gerrymandered. You look at the 13th congressional district Nikki Budzinski's in, and it's like a weird-looking worm snake that engulfs large urban areas, goes up I-55 a little stretch, real thin, and then wraps in like Springfield, Decatur, and some college towns. And so it was specifically drawn to give more Democrat support for that central Illinois district. And then you look at Congresswoman Mary Miller's district. It's massive, but it's like some weird jigsaw puzzle with two pieces put together with a little line between them. You can't really get another textbook definition of gerrymandering, and that's why the Princeton Gerrymandering Project gave Illinois an F. So was that cheating in 2021 when the governor signed that gerrymandered map for Illinois, giving Illinois congressional Republicans 3 out of the 17 seats when Illinois voters had a 45% turnout for President Donald Trump in the most recent election? What's fair, what's not, or is this just the way it is, right? I mean, it is legal. It's not unconstitutional as some of the claims are. States can redraw their maps whenever they want. They have to base it off the census data, but they can redraw the maps whenever they want. So Texas is just doing what Texas can do with the power they have. So reacting to all of this, here in Illinois, you have Illinois State Representative Jed Davis, Republican from Yorkville. And he connected with me yesterday and reacted to the ongoing story of the summer. And that's the impacts of redistricting in Texas and how Democrats across the country are responding to it.
The whole thing is asinine, to say the least. I mean, it's just our governor, Governor Pritzker, is kind of puffing his chest up to try to build up this national presence of protecting freedom, which is the last thing that he actually cares about as a governor here in Illinois. Look at our maps. Like, I can't even believe the irony on this. Just look at the maps in Illinois, even if it's just the congressional maps, and tell me that is not drawn in such a way to rig the outcome of elections. And now you're going to get on a throne and get all pious on what Texas is doing? Like, forget about Texas. How about we worry about our backyard on people that are being crushed by escalating utility costs and property taxes, and get off the national stage and stop pretending like you care because our maps prove otherwise, and actually get to the heart of the people of Illinois and the issues that we're dealing with.
You know, there's a saying that goes, vote with your feet. I guess Texas Democrats are kind of doing that. They're voting with their feet by not being at the legislature to block a quorum so that the new maps don't happen. But in Illinois, a lot of people are voting with their feet. They're getting out of the state. They're moving. We've had continued outbound migration for a complete decade while spending continues to skyrocket in the state of Illinois. I'm not sure how that's sustainable, but we've lost $60+ billion of income from people moving to other states. People are actually moving from New York to Illinois, and people are moving from Illinois to Texas. So an interesting, mix there. Should those Texas Democrats just move to Illinois, and then all of the disgruntled Illinois taxpayers that are sick of the high taxes and high property, should they just move to Texas? Maybe that'll clear things. I don't know. But the governor does have an event today at 3 o'clock. He's unveiling the butter cow. So we may get his reaction to some of these questions, especially the issue of why is it not hypocritical to complain about gerrymandering from a state that's woefully gerrymandered. But back to the DNC chair, and this is where the rhetoric's starting to ramp up. He said that they're going to fight, and others saying it's a war, and we're talking about knives and guns, and those are some violent images that are being brought up by Democrats.
And as I've said, Democrats are going to fight this tooth and nail, and until the will of the voters is respected. This is not the Democratic Party of your grandfather, which would bring a pencil to the knife fight. This is a new Democratic Party. We're bringing a knife to a knife fight, and we are going to fight fire with fire.
Knife to a knife fight, gun to a gun fight, fight fire with fire. Again, other terms used: war. Was it Congresswoman Crockett using terms like, we're going to beat you down, and so on. This rhetoric's ramping up quite a bit, and it's got some questioning if it's by design. Jed Davis, an Illinois State House Republican, says everybody needs to take a step back here.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. We did a press conference, as you know, with Secretary Noem, and they had people come out just so much anger and violence and right in our face confrontationally. And this is like, what do you expect? This is the rhetoric that our governor is putting out there. People are going to show up. I just wish we could. Oh, and I get kind of worked up over it. And I know even myself get animated. I'm a pretty mellow guy, but I just wish we could sit in a room and really work across the aisle truly, because I think the people of Illinois would win. But none of that stuff happens in Springfield. And it's just a bulldozed one-party platform.
In Illinois, we do have all statewide state seats Democrats. Democrats have the supermajority in the Illinois House and the supermajority in the Illinois Senate, so it really is one-party rule. And I don't even think that Republicans have enough seats to do what Democrats in Texas are doing by leaving the floor and not having a quorum. So how's that fair for what is considered fair, not just congressional maps, but state house legislative seats, and as well, because that's also gerrymandered. And don't forget, they also gerrymandered the Illinois Supreme Court districts. Back to Pritzker yesterday morning, standing with Democrats. He was asked again if he's giving any money, how's he supporting these Texas Democrats? Are they staying up in hotels his family owns, or did he help with the jets? Is he cutting checks? What's the governor Pritzker's position on how he's helping support, other than just helping host news conferences?
Well, I know that you're all interested in whether I'm writing checks, to this. Let me be clear. You're saying, of course, but let me be clear. I have stood with the Texas House Democrats. We have been in consultation for weeks and weeks. This possibility was always something that we feared. And I made it clear to them that we'd do everything that we could, logistically and otherwise, to try to support them. I have not written a check or supported them financially, though I am not reticent to do that. But I have not done that. But lots and lots of people around the country have. Lots of people. And you can go to texasdemocrats.com/donate and give money to support this and the efforts of Texas Democrats across the state.
Now we'll hear one more little bit from the governor, because he himself left Illinois yesterday to go to, New York, where Stephen Colbert has his show. It's going to be off the air soon. We'll get to that in a moment, but somebody else had to chime in on all of this, and that was President Donald Trump. He was at an unrelated news conference yesterday and was asked a question about if Texas goes about changing their maps to give Republicans a boost, and that leads to Illinois and California and other states run by Democrats changing their maps to boost Democrat numbers. Is it worth it down in Texas? Here's the president's response to that question yesterday.
If Texas redrawing their congressional map would get you 5 safe red seats, means that California, New York, Illinois, and Maryland are all going to redraw their maps to add safe.
Well, they'll do it anyway.
Is it worth it?
Yeah, they'll do it anyway. Why? If we stop over there, they would have done it anyway. Look, a lot of these states, I watched this morning as Democrats are complaining, and they're complaining from states where they've done it, like in Illinois, like in Massachusetts. If you look at what's going on with the redistricting, or whatever you want to call it, the Democrats have done it long before we started. They've done it all over the place. They did it in New York. They did it in a lot of different states.
Again, in Illinois, this a prime example of that. So again, This is going to be an ongoing story. We're going to be watching this, obviously, because you got Texas Democrats in Illinois. How long are they going to stick around? Not sure. How long is the governor going to host them? Not sure. Because the governor welcomed him Sunday, held a news conference. I'm sure they talked about stuff Monday, and then Tuesday morning they held another news conference. But the governor took off out of Illinois to go and hang out with Stephen Colbert for a less than 5-minute segment. Here's just a flavor of that was posted on X yesterday.
Illinois, J.B. Pritzker, Governor, and I don't want to, spoil anyone's reputation here. You're a billionaire, okay? Not a very popular thing to be right now.
I'm okay with it.
You're okay with it, I'm sure. You know what? That shows real courage. But
I've got to stand up for my people,
The thing is, you don't have to work anywhere, let alone in the government. Being a politician seems like kind of a cruddy job these days. Why do you want to do the job you're doing?
It's a pretty serious question, and I know we're on a show that isn't always that serious,
or always that funny.
Well, you can watch more of that if you want. I don't want to trip any things to take the show off, but this is reality, right? This is what we're dealing with here, and we'll wake up every morning and get you what you need to know. It's Governor J.B. Pritzker and First Lady M.K. Pritzker with the Illinois Department of Agriculture Director Jerry Costello, State Fair Manager Rebecca Clark, and even Springfield's Mayor Misty Buscher there, talking about the 2025 Illinois State Fair, now open. Yesterday was the Twilight Parade after the ribbon cutting. The governor went around and visited various locations.
If you look at those signs, you'll see that.
All right, visited various locations and took in the state fair. And there's a lot of tax dollars involved there. The headline at thecentersquare.com, Illinois State Fair Affordable Fund backed by $140 million in taxpayer funding. Katrina Barker putting this together for the Center Square. Here is the Department of Agriculture Director, Jerry Costello, talking about all the tax dollars that are going into the fairgrounds.
If you look at those signs, you'll see the $85.5 million represented in the Rebuild Illinois program, as well as $55.3 million our Buildings and Grounds has taken out of the Illinois Department of Agriculture budget to revitalize these fairgrounds.
Now, he also talked about the family budget and how it's constantly being stressed. And when it comes to entertainment funding and budgets for families, it's stretched pretty thin.
Entertainment dollars, extracurricular dollars are being stretched very thin. I can tell you this, I promise you, because I get phone calls at times at 6 in the morning. Governor Pritzker has hammered into us, make the fair affordable. He wants Illinoisans, regardless of income, to have a chance to experience the Illinois State Fair.
So how much is the fair? Well, to get in, it's $5 to park, $5 admission most days, $3 food specials. Kids under 12 get in for free. There's $2 entry for adults and seniors on certain days. So a lot of dollars are going to be spent. Trust me. I mean, if you want to get some food at the fair, it's if you're there all day, it's $10 here, $5 there. It's just have a lot of cash on you, I guess is one way to put it. But obviously, affordable fun, it comes with that $140 million that's been put into it, including money from Rebuild Illinois, which you've got the doubling of the gas tax that happened in 2019 with the regular increase that happens every year tied to inflation to increase the amount of funds going into that. And a lot of the money's going into repairs at the fairgrounds, which, having been at the fair in some capacity for the past 20 years, it definitely had a lot of deferred maintenance. And former Republican Governor Bruce Rauner came in and really, I think he put together like a foundation to help bring some private dollars into it. And that helped build some things up, restore some things, and take care of some of that deferred maintenance. And then Pritzker comes in with the Rebuild Illinois plan and the doubling of the gas tax, and a lot of that money being used for roads and whatnot, but also some of it being used for facilities at the state State Fairgrounds. You've got Springfield Mayor Misty Buscher, who talked about the economic activity the Illinois State Fair brings to the capital city.
And a little birdie over there told me that this weekend you will be hard-pressed to find a hotel room in this city because of the Illinois State Fair. That is what the State Fair brings to Springfield. Please come out, see the facilities, see the investment from the state. It's your tax dollars going to this wonderful facility.
And there's a lot that's been done. Paved roads, new walkways, buildings being restored, the updated Coliseum, for instance, which is a big deal because that's where a lot of the livestock shows happen. So the State Fair open, and it's open for business. But it's not just the agricultural expo and all the food, it's also the entertainment. Rebecca Clark, the State Fair manager, talks about one show that's coming up Monday. It's a free concert at the grandstand.
We even, thanks to Governor Pritzker, are able to bring back the free grandstand concert on Monday night. And don't forget, parking every day is only $5 on our fairgrounds. We know that family budgets are tight, and that's why we've done everything we can to ensure that families who walk through these gates can create lasting memories without breaking the bank.
So Clark talking about trying to keep it as affordable as possible. So the Illinois State Fair, are you going to be there? What's some of your favorite things? Comment below if you're live. I would love to hear your thoughts on this debate about the best fair food. And in particular, I guess we got to do this now. Why not? All right. So yesterday, Governor J.B. Pritzker, after he took questions, he came up and offered, walking towards members of the press, some corn dogs. He had 2 corn dogs in his hand. He had a corn dog with mustard on it and a corn dog with ketchup on it. Now, I'm just going to kind of pause it here because last year he had poked fun at one of the reporters there because the reporter said he liked ketchup on his corn dog. And he did something similar last year. So this year, after last year, I had asked, well, what about being pro-choice and allowing people to choose if they want ketchup or mustard on their corn dogs? Interesting question. But this year, the governor, instead of going to that one reporter, he instead went to me, where he presented me the option of ketchup or mustard. I told him I couldn't accept a gift from the governor. I did take the ketchup one, didn't eat it. But listen, for the record, I do both. Another reporter not wanting the mustard hot dog, corn dog. So for the record, I put both mustard and ketchup on my corn dog. I don't discriminate. Would love to hear you guys. All right. So on the live chat, go and sound off. Ketchup or mustard? Which is it? Or both? Are you like me? Both. I don't discriminate between ketchup and mustard. I put both on my corn dogs. So yeah, load up the live chat with is it ketchup or mustard on corn dogs? I'm going to sit here for a moment. Brian says no ketchup. Let's see here. Grace, that's something else. Yeah, yesterday people pointed that out. Me and fellow journalist Alex Degman had very similar shirts on. If you could see this, here's Alex here, and here I am with the shirt. They weren't the same pattern, but man, were they very close. But yeah, okay, here we go. We got plenty of the live chat popping in here. Both. AJ says both. Right on. None. Patriot doesn't like any condiments. Time Traveler says mustard. Stanky Skunk says both. Mike says none. Deidrin says both. Mustard from Pat. Jennifer says mustard. 100% mustard. Dangerous Liberty says I put corn dogs in the trash. You won't catch me eating a corn dog. Sure as hell won't have ketchup on anything. That's Tattooed Squirrel sounded off on that one. Keith says both. Beware of JB bearing gifts, Kevin says. It was interesting because, I mean, the question, if you missed the previous segment, I just asked the governor about the fine line between bribery and just, you know, what was going on with the Texas Democrats. Anyways, kind of weird moment there after the questions and answers. David says no ketchup or mustard. John says plain. Ozzy Osbourne, I don't know the relation there, but they say horseradish. Mustard, those ribeye sandwiches, though, AJ. I think I'm going to get some. Barbecue sauce on a corn dog. What? Somebody else came up to me yesterday and said they put barbecue sauce on their corn dog. So Gary says that ketchup is banned in European schools. Is it really? When I was a teenager, all we wanted was the stick, Matthew says. And more comments there. Okay, that's enough fun for Friday, right? The Illinois State Fair is underway. If you're going to be out there, I'll be out there for sure on Governor's Day, Wednesday next week, and Republican Day, Thursday next week. And, of course, we'll bring all of that to you here with Illinois in Focus Daily. Each and every weekday morning, I'm Greg Bishop. Thank you so much for taking time with us. And be sure to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and wake up with us here for more Illinois in Focus Daily. One more time, the governor offering up some corn dogs. And a corn dog choice, ketchup or mustard. And who does he select to make that choice? It was none other than myself.
Well, I think that it's pretty obvious because during his tenure, he's destroyed safety and security, quality education, economic opportunity, energy independence. Just names 4 off the hit parade. Those should be.
State Representative Chris Miller, a Republican, looking at new polling data from Illinois Policy Institute and M3 strategies that shows Governor J.B. Pritzker is underwater in a favorability poll. It's Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm Greg Bishop. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and wake up with us each and every weekday morning as we break things down for you here in the land of Lincoln. 2026, we still months away, obviously. Just, August 8th, so it's not quite time to ring in the new year, but the political season's already started. People are circulating petitions to get on the Democrat ballot for the primary and the Republican ballot for the primary, and that's going to be in March. And then you've got the November elections, the midterm election for Congress with members of the U.S. House running for re-election. And even in Illinois, we've got U.S. Senator Dick Durbin vacating his seat after this term, so we could get... we are going to get a new U.S. Senator. Is it going to be a Democrat or a Republican? I guess we'll find out in November of 2026. But something else that's up in 2026, Governor J.B. Pritzker's second term. So he has announced he's running for a third term. And is that going to be a easy run, or is he heading up against some headwinds after almost 8 years he'll have of running the state of Illinois, and all of the tax increases, the increased spending? We're looking at some of the data, and it's pretty remarkable how much the state has increased in spending just over the past 8 years, let alone the past 12 years. So what's Governor J.B. Pritzker's favorability? Jim Talamonte, reporter out of Chicago for the Center Square, he wrote this to give you an idea of how Governor Pritzker's approval rating is in the latest polling data.
The Illinois Policy Institute's newest Lincoln poll, conducted by M3 Strategies, found that 50.2% of voters view the governor unfavorably, and 47.2% view Pritzker favorably. Illinois Policy Institute senior fellow and former Illinois State Rep Mark Batnick said he would have advised Pritzker not to run for a third term.
Third terms often are called the third term curse, number one. Number two, running a general election for governor doesn't match with what you talk about running in a far-left Democratic primary for president.
Batnick said M3 Strategies nailed the Chicago mayoral race and other Illinois elections.
If you look at M3's polling has been extremely accurate in terms of what they've released publicly.
60% of respondents identified taxes as a top issue facing Illinois.
The fact that he has the gall to talk about Trump's tariffs and calling them a tax on the working class, well, that just reminds everybody that he massively raised the gas tax, that our property taxes are number one in the nation.
Batnick said it's possible that 10% of the people who previously voted for Pritzker now support President Donald Trump.
He's leaning into those things that are giving the Democrats low popularity, right? The extremism of the Democratic Party does not play with the general election.
I'm Jim Talamonte.
You can hear more of a conversation that I have with Jim for Illinois in Focus Weekend Edition, which if you subscribe to us here on YouTube, you'll get that. If you subscribe to us via any podcast server, you'll get that. And Illinois in Focus Weekend Edition is kind of our weekend wrap-up of all of these different types of stories. So Jim and I walk through that for you. And you can even catch that on some broadcast stations as well across the state of Illinois. Illinois in Focus Weekend Edition. But let's take a look at that polling data, the actual release that the M3 Strategies and Illinois Policy put out here, so that we can kind of get a general sense of the stuff they're looking at. So they surveyed 752 likely 2026 general election voters between July 15th and July 18th, and has a margin of error of 3.57%. It finds that high taxes dominates the top issue statewide, cited by 60% of respondents. State governance was only 26%, the economy 25%, 19% for crime, other concerns that were raised. Despite frequent media and political focus, education only got 17% of concern, housing at 13%, immigration at 12%, fall further down the priority list. 50.1% respondents say they would prefer to move away from Illinois if given the opportunity. Only 41% said they would prefer to stay, and around 9% said that they were unsure. Notably, Trump voters, 86%, are far more likely to want to leave the state than Harris voters, 24%, indicating ideological dissatisfaction may be fueling the desire to relocate. Regionally, Southern Illinois, 69%, and Central Illinois, 55% of voters show the strongest intent to move. Policy suggestions, tax relief and fiscal reform, anti-Chicago sentiment and regional sentiments, and also education reform and school funding reform. Just some of these other issues, criminal justice, immigration enforcement, government accountability. And again, you can link up to this at the story that Jim put together at the Center Square and read this for yourself. So Governor Pritzker's favorability declined, where he used to enjoy a modest low single-digit positive net favorability. His net favorability has softened, and for the first time in these ongoing tracking polls, Pritzker's registered a negative net favorability of minus 2.98%. It's right there, just below the margin of error as well. So that's got to be pointed out. So again, some of the various breakouts here of the polling questions and how the respondents responded. You can find this linked up at thecentersquare.com. So the governor, is he going into having an unfavorable rating, looking for a third term, and how's that going to impact the election in 2026? But a big question is, who's going to be the Republican candidate? Now, again, the primary hasn't happened yet. We've got a primary in March. We've heard some names tossed out there for Republican contenders. Sheriff Mendrick, one of them, for instance. So, is he going to be the most prominent person in this, or is there going to be somebody else who all of a sudden comes out of nowhere? We've heard other names thrown around, but I guess we won't find out until the actual filing period begins. I think it's in October when they have to turn petitions in to get on the primary ballot. So who's the Republican candidate going to be to go up against Governor J.B. Pritzker as an incumbent looking for a third term? It's a big question. But one thing that I think Republicans are already looking at is what are the issues that Pritzker is most vulnerable on, especially considering this polling data, having Pritzker for the first time underwater in favorability. Here is Republican State Representative Chris Miller. Dan, go.
It's pretty obvious because during his tenure, he's destroyed safety and security, quality education, economic opportunity, energy independence. Just names four off the hit parade. Those should resonate with every voter. And why they would think that a leopard never changes his spots, and to think that he's going to change anything if you give him one more term, I don't see that happening. So those are four things just off the top of my head that is going to make him extremely vulnerable. The problem is we have a complicit press. They never ask him any hardball questions. They never ever have any hard follow-up questions. And so basically he's been able to scam the citizens of Illinois into thinking that he's Mr. Wonderful, which he's been the orchestra director of this mess, and he's actually screwed up one of the greatest states in the United States of America.
Again, that's Republican State Representative Chris Miller reacting to the latest polling data showing that Pritzker's underwater for the first time heading into an election year. It's Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm Greg Bishop on this Friday. Each and every weekday morning, you can wake up with us here for more Illinois in Focus Daily, only with the Center Square.